Hi everyone. What I wanted to do today was finish up an ongoing series of books that I started reviewing last year, but I'll finish up today. Anyone who's been following these reviews over the past couple of months, as I said, has noticed that I've been reading Lawrence Durrell's Alexandria Quartet, the first two volumes of which I've already read and reviewed. Those are Justine, Volume 1, and Volume 2 is called Balthazar. This video will be dedicated to Volume 3, which is called Mountolive, and the video directly following this will be dedicated to Volume 4, Clea. But before I get started talking about Mountolive, what I wanted to do really quickly was to share something I found on the BBC's website about a week and a half ago. And the link for it's going to be found in the drop-down box. But it's called, I think, Lawrence Durrell at 100 or something like that. Anyway, it's a beautiful 30-minute story that the BBC put together. It's a montage of some of Durrell talking, some of his friends, family members, people that really read and loved the Alexandria Quartet, kind of like I did. But it gives a lot of insight into his writing, his personality, some of the people that knew him, and just why I think he sort of has a place in continuing literary interest and importance. I think he really is one of those people that is sadly a little bit more forgotten than he deserves to be. Not completely forgotten, but you know, he's not exactly the household name that he was 50 years ago. So I'll leave that in the drop-down box. It's only 30 minutes. If you're at all interested in anything about the Alexandria Quartet or his writing, I really urge you to check it out. It's a wonderful piece. Anyway, on to the review. Like I said, this is the third novel in the Alexandria Quartet, Mountolive, or as Durrell called them, he called them siblings, not sequels or prequels. But this is the third sibling. In this book, the narrative shifts focus, this time to the man of the title. His name is Mountolive, a character who has perhaps more in common with the real-life Durrell than even Darley, who we met in Volume 1, but who I don't think was ever named in Volume 1. Volume 1 being Justine, and Darley will also go on to narrate Volume 4. Both Durrell and Mountolive were born in India and later joined the Foreign Service abroad. By the way, this is something I should have mentioned again at the top of the video, just like the BBC piece, but I've always been pronouncing his name Durrell, because I think that's the way that probably a lot of, at least Americans, would pronounce it when they see Durrell. But in the BBC piece, there were, as I said, a lot of people who study him at an academic, scholarly level, also people who knew him, friends, family members, and every single one of them said Durrell. So that's how I'll be pronouncing it from now on. If anyone has any insight into the pronunciation, let me know. But that's how I'll say it in this video and in the next. As I said, in this sibling companion to the other volumes, we find both more growing political intrigue and more romantic machinations. Just as in Balthazar, and how Balthazar reconstituted and reframed the narrative telling of Justine, the entry of Mountolive as a major figure does much the same again. He begins at the Hasnani estate, at the Hasnani family, where Nassim Nerutz and their mother Layla all live, along with their ailing father. And we quickly learn of Mountolive and Layla's love affair. The jumps in time make it somewhat difficult to discern when the action of Mountolive occurred in relation to the action of the first two sibling novels. It's most likely between them. So the action goes from novel 1 to novel 3 to novel 2, chronologically speaking. But their relationship is handled every bit as well as the myriad other relationships in the novel, romantic and platonic, that have arisen. Mountolive takes a job as a British Foreign Service agent and hires Perceval, the novelist who we've already met, a more minor character from the previous two novels, and he takes him on as one of his advisors, and Perceval really kind of comes to the forefront in this novel as well. We learn of a gun cartel that seems to be affiliated in some way with Narutz, whose political influence and rhetoric is becoming much too strong for his own good, especially in the opinion of local Egyptian officials. Mountolive's knowledge of the gun-running plot, along with the corruption of the Pasha, both accepts and participates in, has Mountolive leaving Egypt, but not before he's become thoroughly disillusioned with the whole political process there. It'll come as no surprise to anyone who saw my reviews of Justine and Balthazar that I absolutely loved Mountolive too, and since I no longer know how to gush about Durrell's gorgeous, fantastic writing in any original way, I'll do what I did in those two reviews and leave you with a snippet from the opening chapter detailing Mountolive's entry into the British Foreign Service and his involvement with Egypt. Just a couple of sentences. As a junior of exceptional promise, he had been sent to Egypt for a year in order to improve his Arabic, and found himself attached to the High Commission as a sort of scribe to await his first diplomatic posting. But he was already conducting himself as a young secretary of legation, fully aware of the responsibilities of future office. Only somehow today it was rather more difficult than usual to be reserved. So exciting has the fish drive become. The fish drive is a beautiful vignette that takes up a good part of the first part of the novel. Wonderful, beautiful word pictures. And, with writing like that, how can you not love this stuff? I certainly do. Like I said, right after this fourth and final installment, sister sibling novel, Lawrence Durrell's Mountolive.